So I have a quick question for everybody. Does anybody know who Alan Emtage is? With the quick of your hand? Probably not. Alan was the first one to effectively put up a search engine. It was called Archie. I don't know if anybody ever heard of Archie. And this kind of our subject tonight is kind of revolved around Archie. And so Archie was initially started as it wasn't a content-based search engine, and it ended up just disappearing. And then all of a sudden Alta Vista came up, and then Ask Jeeves and some other ones, and then Google came. So this is kind of around what I'm going to be talking about. This is kind of depressing if you actually think about it. Anything you can do, everyone else can do too. I know if you kind of think about it, you're like, well, the more you think about it, the more it is kind of true, and I'll kind of go over that. Ideas don't change the world, people do. And I think it's, when the ideas that you're having, whether if you're a designer or a programmer or an entrepreneur, you have these ideas, great ideas, but I've had a great idea, and then all of a sudden, someone else says, I thought it was the greatest idea, and then someone else actually just had it already. So little on this is, when you're having these ideas, write them down. There's so many times where I've had a great idea that I've just not even wrote it down. I was like, oh, I'll worry about it later. It's so important that you write whatever it is. You're like, well, if it's not a big deal, you still need to write it down. If you don't have a pen and paper, or an iPhone, or an iPad, or whatever, write it down on your arm with whatever. It doesn't matter, as long as you write it down. Quick question. Ask, what can you do right now? Whether it's your business or whatever you can do, you have to make an active approach of making what you're doing work. There's so many designers, there's so many programs, but you have to think, what makes you so much better than them? What do you bring to the table more than they do? And something a little bit about this mostly has to do with us too, about UAO Agency as a new agency that started up with about 20 years collectively working through agencies and things like that. And you need to get help if you need it. Don't be afraid not to ask questions, because if you want this to work, this is your life, and you want this to work so bad, you have to be really engaged on doing it. Get help. You're going to need it. I don't know how many times we've gone I don't know how many times. I don't know if you guys ever felt this, but I've been so overwhelmed with projects or just something, well, I don't know. You're going to have to find some humility, and I had to find it really fast to ask somebody for help. You're going to have to ask somebody, whether you're starting a business, you need to start networking and asking people, how did you do this? How did you how'd you do these things? And it's always asking questions, and it's always asking the right questions. Good ideas are common. What's uncommon are people who are willing to work hard enough to bring them about. And like I said before, a lot of people have great ideas, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to start a website, and I'm going to do that and this, but they just don't do it because they feel so weakened by everybody else doing the same thing. So don't be afraid about what you're doing, because sometimes you just have to learn the hard way. And the hard way is not the funnest way, but if you want your company to grow, or you want your business to succeed in any way, individually or as a business, you're going to go through these things where you can learn from. And that's the biggest thing for us. Ask yourself, what's stopping me? I always have to ask myself this every day. What's stopping me? Why am I work for somebody else, or why am I not doing this? Why am I not taking advantage? Because if you're really on this, you're going to really want to break free from working for somebody else, or working whatever it is you want to do, you're going to have to get to that point where what's really stopping me, and actually being productive about it and actually making a change if you believe in this project or a product or anything that you're doing. So a little bit about us, UAO Agency. It's been around for March?
Officially September 1st.
Yeah, officially September. And me and Tanner have been in the design and UI and user experience on a lot of fields for about 20 years, 10 years each, 20 years collectively. We used to work for some of these companies that you see up here, and we got to that point where we had to ask ourselves, why am I doing this? Why am I feel like I'm being pushed around, or I feel I can do something better? Because that's what all of us are doing. We're taking ideas or things that frustrate us and do it on your own. So these are some companies that we've worked for. UAO Agency, we got to the point where we just wanted to actually just focus on the small business, because we felt that they were the ones that are struggling the most. We work with some of these people, some of these companies, great. It's great on our portfolio, but what we actually want to do is actually be a part of a creative team for a company, because a lot of people can't afford designers and programmers and things like that. And so with UAO Agency stands for unlike any other, and we're really prideful, not prideful, but we're really strict on what we believe, on our core values, and so that's what we do here. And you can go to UAO Agency, and if you have any questions, come talk to me or Tanner. And another thing about Alan at the beginning, he had this great idea. He could have been the next, he could have been the next Google, could have been the next whoever, but it's from his actions, not, he didn't really develop it into what it could have been. And so he lost that opportunity of actually being that next big thing. And so that's kind of the thing where we kind of stress to you guys. And when, of course, we've gone through some of these steps, and we had to go through some of these steps. And so you just have to take a risk. Sometimes you're just going to say, I have a family, I have responsibilities. But sometimes, if you really believe in what you do, you're going to have to make a risk sooner or later. My name's Blake. Tanner's over here. If you have any questions for us, let us know. And thanks. Appreciate it. More food.